Guys, I got some bad news. We might in fact be the bad guys in the most notorious stalker. Now, I know. We all thought Noel was Father Christmas. We thought he was a great guy. But I think we might be wrong. We might actually in fact be watching at least an anti-hero. We'll give it a few seconds. How many people do you expect to unironically be like, are you just now realizing this? Probably gonna be a few. But this episode really kind of solidifies just like kind of how toxic our MC is. Because at the end of the day, Leon and his party, good dudes. Honestly, be the MCs in a lot of these types of shows. Actually, a pretty interesting character arc too brewing in terms of, someone who never really fought back all his life, but clearly has the strength to do so. Really restrained himself, and now he's met someone like Noel, who basically is pushing his buttons and he's ready to throw hands, but he's pretty conflicted about it. And I already know there's going to be some bozos who will be like, he's too righteous, I hate characters like that, I'm glad that our MC's going to crush him. Which I never really understood that argument, where sure, sometimes the overly righteous can be a bit much, but what I'm seeing here with Leon and his party, literally heroes, good dudes. The only thing that really holds them back is they lack ambition, mainly because Leon doesn't have the challenge to continue to push higher, which is understandable why they would get denied their application, but here's this test and now we're competing. At the end of the day, nothing about this party makes me say, I want to see them crushed, I want to see them destroyed. And then in comes our boy, who I love, but Jesus, man, he's like, I'm gonna crush everyone. I'm gonna dog eat dog world, I suppose. But yeah, this was definitely one of those moments where you're just like, I can't even hate this group that we're challenging. This isn't a situation like in past episodes where you're like, screw these people. These are just like, that's who you would want to be heroes in most shows. And then in comes our boy, who's like, I'm gonna bite your head off. And I'm like, God damn it, Are We the Baddies intensifies. We knew, of course, how our boy operates, but man, it's a lot different when you go up against characters like this compared to the people who attended Diddy parties in the previous episode. And I gotta be honest, our boy had a look this episode that made me think that he might be attending Diddy parties. It was a conflicting episode, to say the least. In a good way, but conflicting. Of course, I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and good thought to this talk or greatness over there exclusively. So they actually start the episode off with a little foreshadowing of who apparently will be the next member, a part of his crew, which is a puppeteer class, which is interesting because they were starting the episode off and I didn't know what they were implying. Turns out this dude who he's desperately trying to recruit, who basically says, I hate Seekers, I would never join you even if you freed me, and Noel's like, bet. The Puppeteer class seems like a really interesting addition. I wasn't thinking we're even going to imply more members anytime soon, but now that I've seen who he wants to recruit, I'm like, shit man, yeah, go ahead. And that just makes me say, like, we need a season 2. Like, if they don't confirm a season 2, whether we get a official recruitment for member number 4 or not, I mean, we need season 2. I think there's a lot of potential, and I very much have enjoyed this show way more than I thought possible. And I mean, it's interesting because would I prefer the animation to be a bit better in season 2? Sure. But I love looking at this show. I understand that technically it's not doing anything too crazy, but it's the art direction. The art direction that they chose for this show, and the colors, and especially when the snake animation pops up and just, it really hits an atmosphere, man. Like, it hits this, like, or I want to say, like, it kind of feels old school, but it's just like, there's something about the more muted colors and just the venomous look of everything. I don't know, I dig it. I dig how this looks. If they gave me a season 2 and it functioned exactly like this, I'd still be a happy camper. I'm not saying, like, I don't get why people are saying, like, hey, I wish this show had better animation. I do get it, but for whatever reason, it just clicks for me. I really like how it looks. And I don't think there's been a single episode, maybe other than the first episode, but I'm pretty sure there hasn't been a single episode yet where there hasn't been at least one scene of our man looking like a snake. And the fact that as we're trying to recruit a man who's locked up seemingly for life, has some, like, this is like some evil magic type class that you would have in a video game, is like, you're a snake basically. Like, the fact that even his general presence, man, and you could look at the scene when they first enter the tavern, right? Like, obviously, our boy's trying to make a name for himself. So pretty much right away, he's like, hey, Pinocchio looking ass, get the hell out of here. I'm going to break your face. Like, everyone just they think he's such a dick. And I love how a scene where this girl lashes out, right? And he wanted this to happen. And obviously Leon comes in and, apologizes, diffuses the situation. He keeps escalating and escalating and escalating to the point that we're on the top of Mount Everest and he's just waiting for someone to push the other off the mountain. And I love the fact that you can see how pissed off Leon's getting, but how he has a code, right? Like, he's not just gonna break a chair over this man's head. Of course, Noel wants that to happen, but that's not who he is in his nature. What I really like about the episode is rather than just going the route of this dude's overly righteous, I can't wait to see his downfall, he just comes across as, I'm like, man, this would be a character in a lot of shows that, yeah, I would enjoy following. I think, is he anything remarkably different? Not really, but he doesn't hit any like negative points for me. And it's such an interesting contrast to what we've really been dealing with. People who hired us trying to kill us because they didn't want to pay us. Slave owners, like all these types of people, when you see a main character go up and be like super mean or evil or angry or like these types of emotions, you're like, well, they deserve it. In this case, the dude and his party are just like, that's who you would want to save the world in a lot of these shows. And here we are trying to crush their hopes and dreams. It puts me in a very interesting situation where I'm like, I mean, I assume Noel wins. I just hope for this man and his party's sake, like they're not defeated to the point of never trying. What I kind of expect will happen is that it will be pretty close, because basically they both have to compete. Whoever defeats this very powerful creature gets their application approved, right? I imagine Noel, we win, but it will be pretty close. And I think what will happen is it will probably fuel ambition for Leon's drive, because it really feels like because this is the initial reason why he got denied, was that he didn't try hard. Like, okay, yeah, you defeated this powerful creature back in the day, but why didn't you put your application in there? This reserved, cautious nature isn't who we want climbing the ladder. So I think this will be the moment that pushes him to be more ambitious. But in terms of personality and drive, I hope he doesn't get too corrupted. Like, I get it's a dog-eat-dog world, but if all we have is characters like Noel ruling the world, that world's gonna get toxic real fast. I love our boy, but damn, we can't have just characters like him ruling this world, if you catch my drift. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this week's episode. We are approaching the finish line, and damn, they better give us a season 2, especially if you're teasing a puppeteer character. I need to see more of that. Your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell. And like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Logan the Dork, K2C5, Nemis, Ashley Hawkham, Z Lou, Alessandro, and we also have Sphinx Face. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You all have a good one.